History's Heroes presents Bessie Coleman. She was born into a world that told her no. No to education, no to opportunity, no to the sky itself. But Bessie Coleman refused to live under ceilings. In the roaring 1920s, when airplanes were new and freedom was still a distant dream for many, she became the first Black woman and first Native American woman to hold a pilot's license. This is the story of a sharecropper's daughter who conquered the clouds and left a legacy that still soars a century later. The Coleman family lived in a modest wooden cabin, and like many families in the post-Reconstruction South, they endured deep poverty. In 1894, when Bessie was just 2 years old, the family moved to Waxahachie, Texas. There she spent much of her childhood picking cotton, helping with the harvest, and walking 4 miles each day to attend a segregated one-room schoolhouse. The resources were scarce, but Bessie had a sharp mind, a love for reading, and an early determination to rise above her circumstances. Life in Waxahachie was marked by the harsh realities of Jim Crow segregation. Opportunities for Black women were limited, almost entirely to domestic service and field labor. Education was often seen as a luxury rather than a right, but Bessie refused to be confined by the narrow role society set for her. At the age of 12, she enrolled in the Missionary Baptist Church School, excelling in mathematics. But when her father, frustrated with the unrelenting racism in Texas, left for Oklahoma in 1901, the family was fractured. Bessie, her mom, and her siblings remained behind, continuing to scrape by on meager earnings. In 1915, at the age of 23, Bessie left Texas for Chicago. Joining her brothers in a search of better work, she trained as a manicurist at the White Sox barbershop, a job that, while modest, exposed her to new conversations and new possibilities. It was here she first began hearing tales of the war in Europe, of daring pilots who danced with death in fragile biplanes. Her brother John, who served in World War I, teased her one day. In France, women can fly planes. You couldn't do that here. It wasn't just a taunt, it was a challenge, and Bessie accepted it with quiet resolve. Bessie quickly learned that no American flight school would train a Black woman. The racial and gender barriers of the time were absolute, but she refused to let those barriers stand. With encouragement from Robert Abbott, the influential editor of the Chicago Defender newspaper, Bessie set her sights on France, a country where women pilots were not such a rarity. She enrolled in French language classes at the Ballet School, saved every penny she could, and in 1920 boarded a ship bound for Europe. Bessie trained at the Cauldron Brothers School of Aviation in LaCroix, France, learning to handle the nimble but dangerous Nieuport 82 biplane. The training was grueling: open cockpit, bone-chilling winds, and the ever-present risk of mechanical failure. But Bessie excelled, mastering figure eights, tailspins, and other aerial maneuvers. On June 15, 1921, Bessie Coleman earned her pilot's license from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. She was the first black woman and the first Native American woman to hold an international pilot's license, a feat that made headlines back home. Upon her return to the United States, Bessie found herself a sensation. Known as Queen Bess to her fans, she performed in barnstorming shows across the country, the daredevil aerial spectacles that were the thrill rides of their day. Loop-the-loops, barrel rolls, parachute drops, she made the sky her theater. But Queen Bess refused to perform anywhere that barred African Americans from attending. She used her fame to challenge racial norms, inspiring young black men and women to dream beyond limitations society imposed on them. Bessie's true dream was to open a flight school for African Americans. She envisioned a place where others, denied at home as she had been, could take to the skies. She spoke frequently about the vision, urging her audiences to pursue aviation and break barriers of their own. On April 30th, 1926, Bessie was in Jacksonville, Florida, preparing for an air show. She took to the skies in an open cockpit, Curtiss JN-4, with her mechanic William Willis at the controls. Mid-flight, a loose wrench jammed the controls, sending the plane into a sudden dive. Bessie, not wearing a seatbelt so she could survey the terrain for her next stunt, was thrown from the cockpit and fell to her death. She was just 34 years old. Though her life was short, Bessie Coleman's legacy is boundless. Streets, schools, and libraries now bear her name. The Bessie Coleman commemorative stamp was issued in 1995. Black pilots across generations, including the famed Tuskegee Airmen, have cited her as a source of inspiration, and every year, flyovers and memorials honor the woman who proved the sky belongs to everyone. Bessie once said, "I decided blacks should not have to experience the difficulties I had to face. So I decided to open a flying school and teach other black women to fly." Though she never lived to see her dream realized, she left behind a sky forever changed by her courage. Bessie Coleman's wings were cut short, but her flight still continues, carried by those she inspired, and by everyone daring enough to chase a dream others say is impossible. If her story moves you, share it. Pass it on, because somewhere out there is another young dreamer looking up at the sky and wondering if they belong there. Thanks to Bessie Coleman, they do. If you enjoyed this episode of History's Heroes, please like and subscribe. We appreciate you coming and joining us for the 5th episode. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye.